Hi, and welcome to When They Dare to Be Powerful, a podcast series celebrating the legacy of Black women in librarianship. This series highlights the contributing authors and the extraordinary librarians featured in the book, The Legacy of Black Women in Librarianship, edited by Dr. Nicole A. Cooke. Together, these stories honor the brilliance, resilience, and leadership of Black women who have shaped and continue to shape our profession. As you know, I'm your host, Dr. Cearra Harris, and in each episode, we center the voices behind this important work, exploring their contributions, their scholarship, and the lasting impact of the women they uplift. Each conversation in this series offers an opportunity to reflect on legacy, what it means, how it's built, and why it matters. These stories remind us that Black women have always been powerful forces in librarianship, even when their work went unrecognized or undocumented. Before we dive in, if you haven't already, I want to encourage you to grab a copy of the book. It's an essential read for librarians, information professionals, scholars, and anyone committed to preserving and honoring our collective history. On today's episode, I had the absolute pleasure of speaking with Dr. Roberta Price Gardner, who, with Morris Gardner, highlighted the legacy of Annie McPheeters in their chapter. Dr. Gardner is an assistant professor of reading and literacy education at Kennesaw State University in the Department of Elementary and Early Childhood Education. Her research explores Black childhood literacies, African American children's literature, and the sociocultural context and policy implications of race, place, gender, and social class. Her work has appeared in publications such as Urban Education, Children's Literature in Education, the Journal of Children's Literature, Research in the Teaching of English, Theory and Practice, and Language Arts. I am so excited to share this conversation with you all. Let's jump right into it. Here's my conversation with Dr. Roberta Price Gardner. Thank you so much, Dr. Gardner, for joining me today to talk about your chapter in When They Dare to Be Powerful. So, before we get into all the good stuff that you wrote about, can you just tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. So I am an associate professor of reading and literacy education at Kennesaw State University. For those who don't know where Kennesaw is, it's just right up the road from ATL. So that's what I do. To put it bluntly, I'm an advocate for reading and passionate reading and access. So, yeah. And I'm a former librarian myself. So,
Awesome. I love that. So, we're here to talk about your chapter. So, first, what inspired you to participate in this collective body of work?
well, again, being a librarian, that's my background. That's the root that, that I'm rooted in libraries. It's my passion. It's my safe space. So when I saw that Dr. Cooke was doing this, I jumped right in. There was no way I wasn't going to contribute. So, yeah.
I know she has a tendency to just get you in with her project because they all sound so exciting. So,
Oh, yeah.
can you tell us a bit about the librarian that you chose to highlight and conduct your research on?
Sure. So, Miss Annie McPheeters was my focal librarian. Miss McPheeters was a my chapter is called Black Quiet, and it's really a play on, the library as a quiet space and quiet as being this sort of not just silent, but like I don't know. It's not looked at as active, but Black quiet in of itself is powerful, and that's what Annie McPheeters did. She exuded this sort of Black quiet that was active. She was the first professional librarian in the Atlanta public library system. So it just made sense. It was home. Researching her was like researching home. It was researching what I'm passionate about in my backyard. So, and a lot of people don't know about her and her contributions to the civil rights movement. We all know that, King was here in Atlanta and that there were lots of, marches that occurred on Auburn Avenue, but they don't know about the role of this quiet librarian, this activist librarian, and her role in making sure that Black people, Black families had access to literacy and books and, the segregated system that she helped to desegregate starting back in the 40s. So,
Beautiful. So, after learning about how transformative her work was and what it meant to the field at that time, has that shifted your perspective on the work that you currently do and what you want your legacy to look like?
oh, what a powerful question. Absolutely. I definitely, we are living in a time right now where access to particularly diverse books and books that feature our history are being pulled from shelves. They're being banned in schools. And so the way that she maneuvered, how she was savvy about what she did, I need that. We all need that. I am going to be having a conversation with families in the Atlanta Public Library System sometime in February about Miss McPheeters, spreading the word about what she did. So, yes, it has inspired me into action, and there'll be more of this. There'll be more conversations about her as a result, no doubt.
I think that's why this work is so important because you read these stories about our ancestors, our library ancestors, and it gives you it one reignites that passion in the work that you do.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, if they accomplished so much with the barriers that they face, what can I do right now? So if you were, okay, we're encouraging readers to pick up the book. That's what we want. We want them to pick this
Yes.
up and to read your chapter. So without giving us too much, what is one central message that readers can take away from your chapter specifically?
I think that she saw reading and access to print culture in particular as a gift, as a treasure.
Mm,
And there's one portion that I pulled from her biography, her autobiography, where she talks about wrapping the books in like this butcher paper and tying a string around it and delivering those books to Black families. And so I just think knowing that the treasure, and she sat back and she would watch them eagerly come to get their next book, and she had new books for them. So that exchange of that joy and that gift of literacy, that gift of a book, yeah, reading it for that, remembering what that feels like to connect is what I really hope that people take away from it. There's a room in the Auburn Avenue Research Library in Atlanta named after Miss McPheeters. I would say read it and then go, visit a program at Auburn Avenue in that room named for her because she's still alive in that way. So, picking up the chapter, also you get a sense of what a beautiful writer she was and how highly educated she was. Because that's something that I sensed in reading her autobiography. She loved words. She was a fantastic writer, just as much as she was an advocate for reading. So
beautiful.
yeah, I just can't state it enough. She just really wanted to see our people connected to intellect and opportunity, and yeah, she worked hard for it. So I want to live that. I want to carry that torch for sure.
That's beautiful. I love that. This kind of pulls off what you just said, you carrying the torch, but I want to dig a little deeper. What did it mean for you to be able to contribute to this body of work? Like, what does your chapter mean to you?
Probably because I felt the way Miss McPheeters did. Every time I think the students that I've had, I was at Georgia State before I was at Kennesaw State. They always say that I'm passionate about books. You can see books all in my background. I feel the way she felt about passing those stories along. That's all we do all day, every day is we story, right? And like, so then they're compartmentalized in this package that, with bound in this book. And so she was just a reminder to me of that, how important it is, and particularly for Black people, because we continue to be erased. Our
Mm,
stories continue to be erased. Our opportunities to engage in literacy for pleasure, for joy, and to know are always truncated. Let's quit talking about reading as testing. Miss McPheeters didn't talk about it in that way. She talked about it as a way for empowerment. She talked about it as a way for escapism. And so that's really what it is. Such a reminder to me. It's rerouting me at a time when contexts about reading are science of reading and testing. That's not a why. That's not a good enough why for our people in particular. So she just reminded me of that through her activism. Yeah. And I'll continue to, read and dig more. There's not even enough written about her. That's the beauty of this book too, by the way. I sat on a panel with several other authors during the Asala conference and learned about so many other librarians, Black librarians I hadn't heard of. Like, we've got to excavate this, and this is the beauty of what Dr. Cooke has done.
I agree. I'm
Yeah.
curious. Okay, with passing the torch, what's next for you? Like, what is, I know you said you're speaking soon. What's next? Because I know our listeners and viewers and readers are gonna want to connect with you. So what's next?
Yeah. So what's next? I am, like I said, going to be hopefully at the Mechanicsville Library in February talking about Miss McPheeters. I This is a passion project for me in that I don't want Miss McPheeters' name to just be held on that room at the Auburn Avenue Research Library. I would love to see a branch named after her,
Mm.
right? I would love to see um, people know who she is in a way that is up there every day. It's not just pushed to the side. So I've got that going. I've got some other writing about activist librarians and library programs for children and how to connect Black families through that. So those are the things I'm writing through. I'm also talking to teachers about their reading lives. So I've got a lot of different irons in the fire as it relates to reading that I'm very excited about. So
Good.
again, ignited by, this work. So
I'm so excited too to see what's next for you. So, as we close, I do want to take a moment to look ahead because, as librarians, that's what we do. We're always looking at where we've come from and then trying to make our field better so that we continue to evolve. So, looking ahead, what are your hopes for the future of our profession, especially for Black women and emerging professionals in the field?
wow. So I'm excited about librarians in general in this current context because the ALA and librarians have really taken this fight about censorship and book bans to the higher legal status that it needs to go to. If you look at Illinois, for example, some of the laws that have been passed to fight back against censorship, that's what I want to see. And I want to see Black parents stepping forward, Black teachers being informed about ways that they can help to push back against the erasure and expanded opportunities. So again, in the spirit of Annie McPheeters, she did a lot of policy work. She did a lot of, developing friends groups to be active, to develop policies to fight back against repressive censorship and limited access to literacy. So that's what I would love to see more of, mobilizing, getting together. I hope that the book and the authors who contributed to the book that we'll get together more often, because I met again some professionals that I didn't know that were out here. So it was a uniting context for us in that way too.
Awesome. Well, I just want to thank you again for your time. We want to encourage
Yeah,
readers to pick up When They Dare to Be Powerful and to check out your chapter. Dr. Gardner, thank you for your lending your expertise and really lending your heart to this research. Your research matters, and I know that you will continue to pass the torch. And I'm looking
yeah,
forward to seeing all the wonderful things that you do. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you for what you're doing. Absolutely. Anytime.
I want to send a special thank you again to Dr. Gardner for their meaningful contributions to the legacy of Black women in librarianship. This work is powerful, necessary, and deeply affirming, and we are better as a profession because of scholars like you. If you haven't already, what are you waiting for at this point? Grab a copy of the book and spend time with these stories. They deserve to be read, remembered, and shared. Thank you for listening to another episode of When They Dare to Be Powerful. The call to action at this episode is to share the podcast with a friend. I'm your host, Dr. Cearra Harris, and I look forward to catching you in the next one. Take care.